Well, hello and welcome to round 4 of the 2020 NKC here. Glorious Whilton Mill. And Joe, well, we're over the halfway stage.
Yeah, we are, considering the Women's World Cup is well underway. We've just come out for the second half, haven't we? We've had our sliced oranges. It's all coming down to the final 3 rounds of 6. Yes, we've got drop scores, but if you look at the championships in detail, it's all going to be a bit of a fist fight at the very end.
The thing is, in the Women's World Cup, they get a new ball every game, but these guys and girls are fighting with their same 8 pieces of rubber.
Yeah, remember the NKC tyre regs? 2 sets of tyres for the whole 6 rounds. That's unheard of in karting. That's unheard of in any kind of racing, isn't it? But you know what? It's now that we're going to see the tyre strategy. How have you used those tyres? Are you now starting out for the final 3 rounds on a brand new set? I don't think so. I think everyone has cycled through those tyres in some way, and it's all different. It makes our job very difficult as to who's on what tyres. But hey, what a series this is, spectator-wise. It's, you know, you wouldn't want any better.
Well, what I'm going to do, Joe, is I'm going to study my statistics degree so I can work out who's where and when with drop scores. But you should go and talk to the great and the good and the paddock.
Somebody might be able to tell me. So Charlie King leading the Formula TKM class here in the NKC. But Charlie, you have got a very, very busy year of karting, because here you are leading the NKC Championship, but you're also leading the MSUK British TKM class as well, and the British Champs.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the level between the two is very different, because with British Champs you've got drivers that are out every single weekend, non-stop testing. So you've got to try and keep up with that. And then we decided to do NKC just for a bit of seat time, and as well they had Rara on the calendar, so it's an opportunity to test for that. But yeah, it was just, I don't know, it's hard to explain the competition, because you've got drivers like Louis Bev and Mitchell Ball who know what they're doing and used to do MSA racing, so it's difficult to keep up with them. And obviously keep them behind, so they obviously know what they're doing. But then,
so both championships really are very high level, where you've got Louis and Mitchell.
Oh yeah. We go into both championships with the same mentality. We push the kart to its limits. We race as hard as we can race, and we don't mess about really.
So the NKC then, tell me if I'm right. The NKC was a bit of practice in preparation for the British Champs, and here you've now found yourself leading the championship, so you've kind of had to come back. Is that what happened?
Well, the plan was, so we looked at the NKC calendar, saw Rara on it, thought we'd do just Rara just for testing for the British Champs, and then I'm not sure what it was that made us do Three Sisters, but then after Three Sisters and Rara, it was like, okay, we can actually go for the championship here. And then after Dunks, it was like, oh, we're leading it, so now we've got to continue with it. But it's all good testing. It's just seat time. It's good fun. If we win it, it was great. If we don't win it, then it's not the end of the world. We'll just go again next year.
Slightly different format, and very much at the forefront of the karting world, certainly in the UK, is the difference in the comparisons between mixed grids, which we have in the NKC, and time qualifying, which we have in the British Champs. Now, some people are saying that, you know, the contact that is created, the incidents that are created, mixed grids are a big factor and a contributory factor to that. But even with time qualifying, we still see incidents in the British Champs. What's your view on either or?
I personally believe time qualifying is slightly better.
In what way? What do you mean?
So obviously every driver's different, but I think qualifying is better, because then at the front you've got the quickest people. With mixed grids, you've got a mixture between fast people, not so fast people. But then again, with the mixed grids, it shows who the good drivers are, because they're the one. Like, you know, you got to fight your way through it, and you got to show that you want it more than everyone else.
And I would imagine the challenge that you know, if you're on the back, that must be great fun and a great challenge to get through.
Yeah, no, it's good fun getting through the pack, and like I said, it shows who the good drivers are, and who wants it more than anyone else. Because like, let's say with the qualifying, if you qualify on pole, then all you've got to do is become mates with someone who's willing to push you through the front. So like, you're already at the front, so you just sit there and push someone or let them push you. As where if you've got the mixed grids, then you've got to fight your way through and do all the work on your own, and show everyone else that you want it more than them.
Slightly different tyre than what you're running here. The harder Maxis for the NKC, it's got 2 sets, have got to last you 6 rounds. The British Champs, you've got 1 set per round. What's the difference from a driver's perspective?
There's a huge difference in grip. The Maxi Greens are about four tenths faster. I think it also depends on the track as well. But the Maxi Whites, I personally believe, feel a lot better. It suits my driving style a lot better than the greens, because it's like nice and slidey all around. But it saves so much money as well, because they last so much longer. You're not spending as much money on buying new tyres constantly, which I think is really good. And what NKC's done with the Maxi Whites is really good as well.
Absolutely, that's what NKC is all about. So I'm not going to ask you the difficult one of which championship you prefer to win. I think, we all know the MSUK British Championship is the elite, the epitome of British karting, but I bet you're taking a lot of pleasure of being at the top of this championship at half distance in the NKC.
Well, I mean, it's really good to be leading both, really. But I just got to take it one race at a time and stay humble with it, really. I can't really lose my head and be big-headed about it. I just got to take it one race at a time. It'll be good to win both of them, because then it saves me having to change numbers.
That's a good point, actually. Whilton Mill, a track that you like?
Hit or miss. Last year I ended up in the last corner wall, which wasn't too good. But this weekend has been really good. We've found our pace. We're happy with the car. Happy with the consistency as well, and we're ready to challenge whoever's up there, really.
Great stuff, Charlie. Staying with TKM here at Whilton Mill for the fourth round of the NKC. Ben Watson here is certainly, Ben, I'm going to say you were still a championship protagonist at half distance, but there's still a long way and a lot of racing to go.
Still a long way to go. I'm glad after the first 3 rounds we're still somewhat in contention. Last few years we did in the British Champs, we're normally pretty much out of it after 2 rounds, so at least we're there or thereabouts.
I mean, that can happen very, very quickly, can't it? And so is there anything from what you do on a weekend when you come to a place like Whilton Mill, is there anything you can do, the mindset that you bring into a weekend like this?
Well, I mean, places like this, particularly back half of the season, I know the track's a lot better. We went to the opening round in Wigan. I'd never driven Wigan. Been to Rara only twice, so a little bit more confident coming into last half of the season. We know the track's a bit better, and we know a bit more what to expect.
I suppose, I mean, that fabulous. Here you are, 2 tracks that you're very unfamiliar with. Going into the second half, you've got tracks that you know intimately. On paper, that should bode very well.
Hopefully, that's the plan. We, like I say, we were surprised at the pace at Wigan. It didn't quite work out in the final mechanically, but that happens. Rara was the same. We're glad it didn't rain at Rara. That's normally the way. So, and then last round at Dunks again, we were quick enough. So, hopefully, seems so far today we've seen quick enough. So, hopefully we'll be there or thereabouts tomorrow.
Now we've just spoke to your teammate Charlie King, who's on a Birrell.
Yes.
You're in an ARC.
I am.
Completely different. These are kind of what I would call, if this was a sports car, it'd be called a boutique manufacturer, because they don't manufacture very many.
No.
And this is down to Dave, isn't it?
Yep, Dave Classen. This is one of the first from the newest when they re-brought them out in 2018. This is a 2018. Been making them since then, and this seems quick enough. I've ran them since 2019 and always found them to be quick. So.
Yeah, and you've been on other chassis as a comparison, so Dave's basically giving you a good chassis.
Yeah, I jumped off a Talco onto this, so I've always found this better than the Talco. So I know that might not necessarily be the most popular opinion, but that's what I'd definitely say. So
it also helps, Ben, when you've got the design engineer and the manufacturer in the awning with you. He's Dave Castanet. Dave, welcome. We'll let Ben go. I've just been talking to Ben about the chassis, and he compares it to others that he's been on, and he said it's very, very good. You must be very proud when you get a driver giving you that sort of feedback.
Yeah, it's fantastic. I mean, at the end of the day, when I brought the company out 12 years ago, obviously I've worked for a lot of kart companies in the past, like Telco and so on. And what you try and do is try and take the best parts out of a kart and try and make it yourself and put it into it. And I think what we've got with this car is a nice balanced car, so we can go from wet to dry very easily and not worry about it. Like we've done today, we had a wet shower in practice. I think Ben was second quickest, and we hardly did anything to it. So we know it's an easy car to set up. So yeah, I'm very happy with that.
So all right, it looks pretty simple, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's a tube frame, but when you look closely, the angles, and if Ash can get onto the front axle and the stubs and the angle of the stub, the camber, the caster, millimeters of difference make massive difference in handling. So you've got to get that right in the jig before you even put a bit of braze on there, haven't you?
Correct. And there's still a lot more that goes into a cart than that. So obviously the tubing makes a big difference.
Right. So you mean the actual steel
softness and the size of it. Yeah. So obviously some carts use a 32mm tubing, some use 30. This cart is designed with a 30mm tubing through the whole cart instead of a mixture. But there's also different grades of materials. So we can put a slightly harder bar in the front and a softer bar on the side. Yes, through our development stage, we did try different tubings and came up with this cart, which, like I said, I think was a nice balanced cart at the end of the day.
Yeah. I mean, I've been racing karts since the late 80s and 90s, and visually, karts look pretty much the same. There's lots of triangulation in the tube frame, but I mean, I know, Dave, you've been around a bit. You've been around a long time. How have karts developed over that couple of decades?
I think design-wise, they've not actually really changed that much. When you actually put a cart from, like you said, from the 80s and so on, when you actually put them alongside each other, even when I raced, they were a little bit shorter in the wheelbase, but actual design-wise, they've not changed that much. I think the fundamental parts that have gone on over the years is tubing development. Right. That's been the big key. And I think that makes a massive difference, where in the old days, like you said, you get a bit of scaffolding like the old T45, make a cart and away you went. Nowadays, like I said, you've got so many different grades that you can actually mix it in the cart and develop a cart that way. So I think that's the biggest change in karting at the moment.
And do you find as well with the ERC across different series which use different tyres, how much of a factor is the 4 bits of black rubber on each corner?
I think the rubber is always key as well at the end of the day, because it's designed to do a certain mile an hour around the corner. So obviously, yesterday we were actually testing the green tyres yesterday to get a little bit ahead of ourselves to the British. Right. And obviously your mid-corner speed is a lot quicker because of the softer tyre. But obviously when you go on here, you have to change the cart a little bit. Like today we wanted a bit more front end compared to the green. We've altered that. And it's quick, naturally. So we're quite happy where we are with the car. You have to make slight alterations with the rubber, that's all.
Yeah, and you know what? Like in any form of motorsport, whether it is karting at NKC level or Formula One, everyone is trying to just keep pushing and keep pushing. How do you keep that motivation going? How do you keep that sort of innovative engineering development going? I mean, there's got to be a point where you can't sharpen the razor blade any further.
Yeah, I think development, it depends on what side of development you're looking at. At the end of the day, if you're looking at going faster in speed, you're never going to find half a second here or there. It'll always be tenths or a little bit. I think development in a car is making it more simple. So obviously we're always looking for development sides with different stub axles. The 2022 kart, we brought out a new stub axle with a solid 25mm shaft in it. Made it a lot better, the kart, so the 2022 is better. It's little things like that we're always chasing and try and make it easier for the customer.
Yeah, the small elements. So ERC, where are you based, Dave?
We're based in Coventry, actually 25 minutes from here.
Right, so this is your home track then?
Yeah, this is my local. Shannington is 35 minutes away. I'm just central to everything. It's great.
Yes. Yeah. How many karts do you make for each season?
We're not the biggest company. Yeah. You know, at the end of the day,
I called you a boutique company, Dave.
Yeah, if you kind of base us like with OTK, and I'm never going to compete. Yeah. But realistically,
you're not trying to compete with those.
No, I haven't got the finances. I put a lot of money into it myself. Realistically, we sell probably 10, 15 cars a year.
Yeah, and you must get a lot of satisfaction when you see your creation, let's call it, out there, and not just competing, but you've got 2 guys in the awning you're looking after this weekend at the very forefront of a championship.
Oh, 100%. It is nice, but also you have the pressure of it. Right. I mean, at the moment as well, I mean, you don't see junior TCM here, but we're leading the British champs in junior and senior TCM at the moment. Yeah. So, and leading here as well. So the pressure's always on at the moment. It's keeping a level head.
You wouldn't have it any other way, though, would it? It'd be pointless doing it if it was boring.
No. At the end of the day, you know, that's what part of the challenge is. At the end of the day, and when you actually can take it to the bigger teams, as small as we are, it's also a nice feeling, you know. So people go and spend hundreds and thousands of pounds a weekend, and there's a little tiny team as such as me that doesn't charge half the price, but we can compete with them. So it's nice. It's a nice feeling. And that's what drives us a lot in here as well.
I can see that. Thanks, Steve. So 177 Rotax class, Zach Bolton on the 69. The Zach Bolton fan club will be delighted that we've caught up with Zach, having just come off the track. So he's very hot and sweaty, aren't you, my son?
A little bit warm, Joe. A little bit
So
warm.
tell us all about the session. Tell us a bit about Whilton Mill as well.
Whilton Mill, what a quality track. Absolutely quality. The grip's just coming up and up and up. Compared to last year, these tyres are on another level. There's so much grip out there, it feels like driving a Mojo.
Oh, you mean it's so that it's the tyres, it's just the amount of rubber that's down.
The amount of rubber going down is just, well, the mixture of weather conditions seems to be tetted off, tetted on, so you never know what you're doing, but phenomenal circuit this weekend, unbelievable.
Now, you may not have noticed this, but or you may not know this little stat, but there are 70 odd drivers entered in the 177 class, and you're 18th in the championship.
Yeah.
That's something to be proud of.
I'm quite pleased with that one. I've had one or two bad rounds where I hoped to be a bit cleaner. Rower, I wanted to be a bit stronger, but it just wasn't the weekend to be. I got tangled in a few issues.
Another stat, you are the leading LRG driver in this class.
Well,
That's Louis Larger's team, of course, LRG.
aye, our Louis, he's doing a cracking job so far, but yeah, out of the three of us,
Well, he's got you going quick, hasn't he?
aye, he's got incentives, so yeah, got to go there, got to keep the weight down. Otherwise, I've got to pitch up outside and be by myself.
So he's not just your coach regarding driving, he's also your life coach as well. And talking about life, Zach, you've got what some people would consider a dream job, because when you're away from the kart track, your job is actually to be at a kart track. Who are you working for?
So I went for Team Sport Karting, up in Stockton at the minute, and I branch out between a few of the other sites. But yeah, it's just a big kid's dream really. Come in, work on a few go-karts, drive them around the track, fix them.
So you will get plenty of seat time at Team Sport as well, do you?
Yeah.
Sneaking a bit.
Yeah, plenty. So I worked it out in the last 4 years. I've done about 24,000 laps around the track. It equates to about 13 and a half days of my life driving around the track.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, fair bit of seat time.
What's the track like at Stockton then?
Track's mint at Stockton. We've got 2 floors, upstairs, downstairs. Run adults cadet karts, but it's an absolute crack. Like, it's brilliant. A few of our other sites are really good. Obviously, we're partnered with the British Indoor Karting Championship with Motorsport UK for our BIKC.
Right.
That gets held at our big main track at Warrington with local regional finals and stepping stones. A few young kids that I've coached through there that are now racing Rotax outdoor.
Yeah.
So
What? All right, Team Sport indoor karting. You know, some would say, well, it's a completely different world to this outdoor karting malarkey.
yeah, it's a completely different game. Like, it's just one of them, but it's a nice step, so it's great fun. It's always a great laugh going back on the indoor karts. Always a great fun.
Keeps your race fit and keeps the weight off.
Well, I thought it was doing that, but I'd done that for 3 years, and then sat in a Rotax was knackered after 3 laps, so a bit more work to do.
There is that.
A bit more work.
Thank you, Zach. Enjoy
problem.
your work on Monday.
Cheers, Joe.
So I recognised a name in the entry list at the last round. It's in the entry list again this weekend, and I'm thinking, I know that name, Ollie Hancock. Can it be? It is. It's the Ollie Hancock. Sports car fame, Le Mans with TF Sport, and also, Ollie, this is the question I want to ask you. I know you from historic racing as well, and historic Formula One cars. I think the last one, the Fittipaldi F5A. I'm going to ask you a question everybody out there wants to know. How does your Rotax 177 compare to a full-blown Formula One car from the late 70s?
It's a very good question. I'll be totally honest. Quite similar, which is
Quite similar. Wow. yeah.
absolutely the how fast you have to speed your brain up to really take into account what's going on. Power to weight ratio is actually fairly similar. In terms of grip levels, G-force loads, again, karting, I would say driving around Whilton Mill is harder work. It genuinely and honestly is. It's harder. You come in with a higher heartbeat. It's more physical. It beats your body up, black and blue. You get out of an F1 car and you're actually okay.
Yes. So the F1 car is a little less physical because you've got those long straights perhaps to get your breath, whereas in that thing, it's hard to breathe.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. If you go to somewhere like, let's say if you go to Monaco or Singapore in the historic F1, it's tough. You haven't got long straights. You're constantly doing something. I think we calculate at Monaco 73 gear changes a lap.
And remember, that's stick shift, isn't it?
Absolutely, yes.
Not paddle shift in those days.
No, you've got to heel and toe. You're on all three pedals. Going through the lows hairpin, you're on the brake, the clutch, and the accelerator pedal, trying to keep the RPM above cam. So yeah, it's entertaining. But these are just as hard. Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, all right. I've seen you racing at the Dubai 24 Hours. I've seen you racing at Le Mans. Pretty high-level sports car endurance stuff. But here you are in the NKC, little old NKC. I mean, what draws a driver with your experience to a championship like this?
I love motor racing. That's it. I love racing. I love kart racing. I always have done. I've come and gone through karting for my whole life. The last 4 years, I've taken it a little bit more serious when I can dedicate my own personal time to it. I'm on a break from car racing at the moment and from the career. Doing a few other things in life and to fill in the gaps and to keep the love alive, you go karting. This is a fantastic championship. It's very much entry level, but the quality of driver here is very, very high. Especially for the 177 grid, it's the highest in the country. You won't find a better grid for 177 here. I love the fact that it's cost-effective racing. It's a lot of dad and lad. There's no big teams here, and it's very welcoming. So we're really pleased to be here.
Well, we are delighted to have you, and spread the word in that historic racing paddock, and also at Le Mans when you're next there. Are you thinking, there's still not unfinished business perhaps in that world of car racing?
I've definitely got unfinished business in LMP2.
Right.
I am a prototype type of driver. I've grown up in single seaters with aerodynamics, without driver aids. Jumping into a car that's heavy, GT car, less downforce, ABS, a lot of traction control intervention, it's quite different. And I don't feel like I'm absolutely on my game in that car, whereas I feel like in a prototype, I know exactly what to do and when to do it. So maybe next year we might come back to ELMS and try again.
Well, you've got unfinished business in the NKC first. 3 rounds to go, remember. See you later on. Best of luck this weekend, mate.
Thank you very much.